Hello, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Debbie. This is my crafty den, and I am going to do a Memorydex Monday for my Memorydex challenge that I started 6 weeks ago now, I believe. So this is card number 7. So last week's prompt was Hello Spring, and I gave this week's prompt at the end of that video, and my prompt was a spring bucket list, but using a pocket. So I have my base card cut out of cheap watercolor paper from the dollar store. Don't use anything expensive for this. So what I've done is I've cut a 4x4 inch. The standard size for a Memorydex card is 4 by 3.75. I usually do 4 by 3 and try to stick things out of the top. But because I'm not gluing those pieces down, I want something to hold them on the back this time. So I'm actually cutting this out a little bit different. So I took a second card and I cut the shape of a flower pot out of this. And I'm going to trim the bottom flower pot out of this when I'm done, but I want to have a shadow line behind here. So I'm going to wait and trim it after I get my coloring and what have you on this card. So I have a flower pot. I'm going to turn this into a flower pot card. So let's start off by decorating the flower pot. I want an outline on this. I have a Prismacolor permanent brush tip marker that I think I'm going to do this with. So first of all, I want the rim. I've cut it out so that I've got a rim on my pot. I want my rim to stand out. Maybe I better do a pencil line first. See what I mean? Yes, I want this to stand out just a little bit. And I'm going to do the bottom rim, or the bottom edge of the rim, like that. And I'm just going to go there, like that. So I'm going to decorate this so that it looks like a white flower pot with some print on it. So last year I made some faux tissue paper that you get from Holtz. They're rolled up and they're like 9 inches wide and they have these beautiful prints on. So last year I had a video that showed how to make your own, and I did 2 different kinds of prints for my rolls. And these are some leftover scraps. So this one has ampersands and all French writing and these swirls all over it. This one has butterflies. But I want this to have that little bit of a French feel to it. So I've got a piece of this with the ampersands, but I'm not using the ampersand part. What I want is this bit of curlicue with the writing. Okay, so I think it goes this way, and I want this to be right on the front of my pot, like this. So I am going to Mod Podge this down. So I am going to put some Mod Podge down on here. I'm just going to brush this over the whole thing. And this is why I wanted to use a permanent ink. Now I'm going to find this again, the way that I had it, and put this on like this. Then I'm going to cut it out and then repunch the spot where I need my holes to be. Okay, so I'm going to go all over the top of my flower pot before I repunch it. So I used a permanent ink as well when I made my tissue paper because I knew I was going to be using it to glue down and I didn't want it to run. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing for the main part here. So I've taken some watercolor paper and all I did was color it with this set of watercolors I have. And I just drew out these flowers and then put a bunch of watercolor on. Anyway, so I made a bunch of flowers. And when I'm done my card, I'm going to write my bucket list of things that I want to do on the back of them. So this is dry. So where's my little punch? And I'm going to line this up so that I can literally see the previous holes in here so that that's all I punch out. I don't want to make my holes any bigger than what they are. I want them to fit really well. So I have my pot. I'm going to take this pot and just using my thumb and finger, I'm just going to rub it a little bit like this so that I don't know if you can see, but I'm just trying to give this a little bit of a round edge. So I'm going to turn this one over. So I have my flower pot drawn on here, and I'm just going to draw. I'm not going to draw even. I'm just going to color around the inside of the edge of this pot. I just think it would be easier to do before I cut this out. Let me see. Yeah, that's going to be good. All I'm doing this for is because I want it to look like there's a little shading behind my pot. And I'm hoping that this will do the job. Now I'm going to cut this out. I took this lid off of one of my containers and put it on here and just drew arch over top using the container lid as a edge, if that makes sense. I think you can see what I did there better than what I can say that I did. You don't even have to use the prompt if you don't want to. All I'm doing is challenging you to do a Memorydex card once a week and build up that stash of yours with some beautiful Memorydex cards that you can trade, that you can just have collected yourself. I showed a couple weeks ago how I made my little Memorydex box. I actually made a couple of them when I made that one. So I've got a nice little box for all the ones that I get from somebody else. And I've got a nice little, this looks like a cupcake. I've got a nice little box, display box for the ones that I make myself as well. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that so that I can smear that and make that look like just a shadowed edge. So I'm just dampening it a little bit and then giving it a rub with my finger. So I've just blended that, all that in. I just want a little line that shows me kind of where the top of my pot is. I'm going to take my Sharpie pen. This is a green permanent marker with an ultrafine tip, just from the dollar store. Now I'm going to draw on my background. So just a bunch of doodling. And the reason I did this is because I don't have any paper that just has a green print. And I just wanted this to be my background. And that was it. So I'm going to get a piece of paper. Just a piece of paper. This happens to be sticky paper, but any paper will do. And I'm going to write... I've got spring bucket list written on here. I'm going to put it on my background. So I'm just going to cut these out. And I'm going to put my words on my card. So let me see. Before I do that, I'm going to get my art glitter glue out because I'm not going to trust. If this is just the label paper, it's sticky on the back, but it might not stay stuck. So I'm going to use a more permanent glue. I'll just put some down the middle and then put spring. Bucket. And list. Then I'm going to take my Sharpie pen and I'm just going to doodle some squiggly lines around my words. There. So I've got my background. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to put glue on this bottom edge right here and up to the top of these cut pieces. Because I don't want this coming apart at the bottom when I'm shoving stuff in and out of it. And then I'm going to go down my sides, but just really close to the edge. And I don't glue at the top. So this is rounded a little wee bit. Remember, give that a little tweak again. I'm going to put my flower pot on here and line it up. I'm not worried about these sides as much as I'm worried about the bottom. The bottom needs to line up. Now this part here is going to stick in a little wee bit because I've got a rounded pocket in there now. Okay, so I got to give that a minute to dry. The art glitter glue doesn't take long to bond. That should grab in just a couple seconds. You know, I'm not going to see much in my background when I get my flowers in here because I'm going to do this. So I'm going to take the backs of these and I'm going to put a dot so that it looks like a list. And then I'm going to just right on here go to a spring market. I might do, because this flower is pretty big, I might do a second one. I'll put one on the back of this, and I'll definitely, this is my largest one, and I'll do 1, 2, 3 on the back of this one. So what types of things can I put on here? Go to the garden center. And one of the things that I love to do after the weather starts to warm up is my first walk on the beach. I mean, spring is a prelude to summer, right? I don't have to go for a swim, but that first walk on the beach is absolutely amazing. I live on the East Coast now, so that's one of my things that I can do. And I'm going to fill these in later, but I'm going to put this card together. So I'm going to take my biggest card and I'm going to stuff it down in here, maybe this way, so that the purple is showing. There's a little bit of green showing there. My second biggest card down in here. I'm going to put this one, I'm going to stuff it down as far as I can get it, and then put this little one down in front, and that's going to be my flower pot. So I want a little bit of color and edging and stuff on here. So let's add a little bit of color to this. I can do that now. I have my Crayola Super Tips. And they're a watercolor, so if I put them, because this is shiny from the Mod Podge, if I put down around the edge and then just use my finger like that, I get this effect, which is really pretty. And so I'm thinking you have a flower pot outside and it gets weathered. So what if it has a little bit of that green moss growing on it? So under the edge of the pot, like this, so a little bit down there, and maybe a little bit along the top edge of the pot, like that, just a little bit. And it doesn't work as well on the watercolor paper. I'm going to grab my little brush with a little bit of water on it. Same marker. There. So let's do this. Let's put our flowers back in our flower pot. This one I could have made a little bit smaller. Maybe let's put it up like there so it'll stick up. I do like the center of that one. Let's see if I can put that one down a little bit further and bring this one. Maybe bring that one up and this one down, this one over, and this one in here like this. just like that. So I have a little bucket full of flowers. So if you don't have the watercolors, so that you can make your own flowers, here are a couple. And all I did for these was I had a sheet of paper in a paper pad that I got from Dollarama, a 12 by 12 paper pad. I cut a couple of these flowers out. So you could cut a bunch of them out and still write on the backs of them and make yourself a bucket. It doesn't have to look like this one, but you could make yourself a bucket and then you could stick your florals like this in. Let's see, because that's cut like that, and then you could have another big one behind here, and you could have your flowers sticking out the top. I think that looks lovely. This is what I made, and I'm going to stay with it. Quite happy with them. I'm not happy with these ones. So I wonder what happens if I put a little bit of black sketching on them as well. I'm not going to go over the white. I'm just going to add black. Black with the white behind gives a whole bunch of dimension. So already I like that more. It gives the flower some depth. It gives it a little bit of depth. So let's do this again. Let's put this one in. And this one in. Maybe I don't want that one. Maybe that's what my problem is. I don't want that one. So I'll put this one in. I'll put this one in. And then I'll tuck this one down in front. And just put these three. So I think I'm trying to put too many in there. I'll save this piece for another project. What do you think? And you don't even see that doodled background that says Spring Bucket List until you pull these out and you realize what they are. My brush pen, again, I'm going to put a little more black there. A little more black there. Okay, across that top edge, I'm going to do a little, so that it looks like that there's a little crack there. I'm going to do down that side of the pot. Up that side of the pot, and maybe a little crack there. So it's been bumped on this side. Just a little bit of finishing touches, and it'll sit down in my box like this. I think it's pretty now that I've got that big flower taken out of there and a little bit of highlighting on here. I mean, I'm liking it a lot more. So not my best success, but I've tried something different. So this challenge is just about enjoying yourself, trying new things, and doing a Memorydex card once a week. Next week's prompt, if you want to try to do it before I do it, my next week's prompt, I'm in Canada. Next week is the first week of April. April in Canada is Daffodil Month, and it's for the Canadian Cancer Society. They sell daffodil pins all month long, and the proceeds go to the Cancer Foundation. So that's a good cause. I mean, cancer is one of those things that has affected absolutely everybody. So the prompt is yellow with black splatter. You could do daffodils, but if you're not in Canada, you could do bumblebees. You could do yellow butterflies. You could do There's all kinds of things that you could do on your little Memorydex card and do yellow with black splatter. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I'd absolutely love if you did that before you left. Come on back and see what else I'm up to. I'll see everybody in the next video. Until then, bye-bye for now, everyone. Have a really wonderful day.